Well, if your ride's broke down and looking sad, got a clunker car that's just plain bad, don't you fret, don't you worry, don't you sass. Just bring it on down to Chad's Whiskey Gas. He's Chad, he's wild, he's got the speed, fixing up rust buckets, planting a new seed. In the Whiskey Gas garage, you know it's true. He'll get that old forgotten clunker feeling brand new.
How we doing? Happy Independence Day, Whiskey Gas Garage fans. I'm Chad Scott. I'll be your host. And as you can see, we finally, after driving 36 hours straight, we have the Yugo in the Whiskey Gas Garage, and we're about to find out if it starts, find out if it runs, drives, if the engine's locked up, if there's a herd of turtles living in the trunk. We just don't know, but we're about to find out. And it's tradition on the channel. It's not called the Whiskey Gas Garage for no reason at all. So what I like to do is before every revival, every rescue, I like to pair the car, the rescue, with one of my favorite whiskeys or bourbons. So what we're going to start off with is a little bit of Tennessee whiskey here. This is Jack Daniel's Sinatra Select. Now, it's not always about the car. It's about the story. So Frank Sinatra went crying to Jack Daniels when Ava Gabor broke up with him and went back to France. So Jack Daniels went up in the very top of his distillery, one of his warehouses, and pulled out this really old bottle of whiskey and then gave that whiskey to Frank Sinatra. And from that day till the day he died, he never drank another kind of whiskey ever. It was only Jack Daniel's Sinatra Select, and Jack Daniels named the whiskey after him because he drank so much of it. It's one of my favorites. It's pricey. It probably... No, I'd say I paid more for this bottle of whiskey than I paid for the Yugo, and that's true. So we're gonna little shot there, just enough to get us going. You know, not enough to get us moving, but just enough to get us started. So, you know, it's this is going to be a great build. We look forward to getting this done and having a good time. So here's to us and those like us. Just darn few left. Oh, if there's a heaven, Jack Daniel's Sinatra Select is going to be there. That is really good stuff. Now, that's my drink. When we think we finally got it fired up, the first time that we turn over the accelerator, we're going to pour just a little bit in the gas tank because the old girl gets a drink too. It's not just me. It's my why and her why on this one. So we thank you guys for having us. Hang in. We're getting ready to jack it up, get it on some jack stands, get a crank on, get a wrench on the crank, see if the engine's locked up, and then go from there. All right. Well, we got her broke down. So got her up on some jack stands. Got the wheels and tires off of it, and I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic. That's what I'm going with. I'm optimistic about what could happen next. There are brake pads on these things. Looks like probably sometime in its life, in the 30 years ago, it had brake lines. Maybe they don't look terrible. Look at those little tiny brake shoes. Little tiny, wee little brake shoes. But we've got her up, and you know, it took some time, and I greased all the latches and all the doors, and just because that's what I do when I get one. And then we got a emergency brake cable that's not emergency braking. Looks like it's just not. But up here is where it gets a little serious. Let me tell you what we do know before I can tell you everything we don't know. One is she's locked up tighter than a drum. And I know this because I'm a drummer. And she's locked up tight. We put a bar on the crank. It won't spin either direction. A little bit. It's got wiggle. So where there's a wiggle, there's a way. What a unique setup. Very cool and interesting. Now here's one of the challenges. Remember that copper line we saw under the hood that somebody had to turn into a fuel line? So they brought the fuel line in the return outside of the body. These usually run parallel. It's leaking. It's leaking fuel. Okay, where from? I have no idea. It might have been from the move or where we lifted one side up, or but the crank has sit here and worn a hole in the fuel line, so it was laying. Look at that, fits perfect. So at some point in its life, oh god, that fuel smells bad. Just a minute. Woo! That is lacquer thinner varnish naphthoxylocane. Not sure what it is, but boy, it smells bad. So it's got a hole here, and what we'll do is when we run fuel lines where they're not supposed to be, we'll zip tie them up. We'll just zip tie them up right there, and that'll be fine. And then remember the lines we saw going last week, going up under it? Yeah, somebody has really there's something they're doing something there. So I'm not exactly sure what that is, but it's something. And whatever it is, it's going to have to be fixed because there's a giant hole right there in either the return or the send line. I have no idea which it is. I'll have to look at it once we get up to the fuel pump. But I noticed when we jacked it up, fuel started running out of the fuel pump. So after 32 years, it still has fuel. No, that doesn't sound right. Got to be something else going on. But and it may not even be fuel. It smells just terrible. So again, not sure exactly what we've got going on here, but I do know she won't budge. So our next step, we're going to get in there under the hood. We're going to pull some plugs, and we're going to pour a little bit of ATF or a little bit of Marvel's Mystery Oil down those cylinders. Let it set for a while and see what we can do with it. Y'all hang in, hang out, and hang on. Well, we've got good news and we've got bad news when we pulled these plugs. First off, the plugs didn't fight me at all. In fact, they were finger tight. All but one of them I probably could have got just without snugging it. They came right out. Bad news is they look rough. Old number one here is there's just not much of it left. There's carbon everywhere on it. Probably running a little rich. I'm not sure, but there's no rust. Again, we saw oil in the motor and not water, but she still got a little. She's still locked up. Again, where there's a wiggle, there's a way. So we're gonna pour some Marvel's Mystery Oil down in them here in a minute. Boy, that one's tough right there. It is worn down to the nub, and you can't hardly see any gap at all in that one. If it would have started, it definitely wouldn't have run. And then that's got a gap you could drive a tank through. So at least somebody took the time to gap these. And that one actually doesn't look bad. Old number 4 there. It's got a pretty good sized gap too. I'll have to look up the gap specs on those, and we'll get us some Marvel's Mystery Oil and tuck back down in here, and it should be all right. We'll just see. I also filled up the radiator just to see, number one, is it going to hold water, because it was pretty much empty and it was nasty in there. So I put a little flush in there too, maybe a little bit of sauce to eat through some of that junk that might be hiding in that radiator. And I called our local parts house, even though it is the 4th of July. We've got an O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and they're open. And so I said, yeah, I need plugs for an 87 Yugo. And this kid couldn't have been more than, I don't know, 19 years old. He said, a what? And then he asked me, is that a side-by-side? Oh, O'Reilly's, come on. And then he got into the system, Chevrolet, Ford, Daihatsu, Daewoo. There's no Yugo. So I ended up just taking him up one of the plugs, and of course they don't have them. He said, we might have them in an auto light. And he goes with the back and gets his little auto lights, and they're not even close. So I had him order me. They both NKG and Bosch. I said, order them both. I'll pick them out tomorrow. So we'll go get them tomorrow, and then But we're going to come back here in a few minutes, pour a little Marvel's mystery oil down in these holes, see what it looks like, see what we can do, see where top dead center is. I don't. The firing order is 1342 on this. I only know that because again I'm a reader. Right there, 1342 is the firing order. We'll get all that set, and we'll see what we can do with it. See if we can't get these darn things moving. See if we can get this motor moving tomorrow. All right, we'll be back in just a few minutes. Well, I know if you're anything like me, somewhere in your hot mess of a garage, you've got a refrigerator freezer full of stuff. Aha! You can't have too much stuff. Now, whether it's your WD-40 with a broken nozzle that only comes out in just big globs, to your graffiti remover, to your electronic conducting lymphatic electro cleaner, to your Berman's B12, got to have my B12, brake parts cleaner, carbon choke cleaner, True Fuel. It is like the kit for the revival specialist. Got to have a little high gloss protectant because it's a Yugo after all. That's what I'm after. A little bit of Marvel's mystery oil. What's in it? It's a mystery. We've all heard that line before. The fact is, if you read the label, because I'm a label reader, according to California, what's in it is cancer. There's cancer in it. So actually, it says it right there on the packaging. For the state of California, there's cancer in it. So we'll get you all set up here. And we're going to pour a little bit of Marvel's mystery oil down it and see what happens. Get a little light on her there. All right. So we know that the one cylinder was in pretty rough shape. Of the four of them, it's probably the one that had the most wear on it. And I just love that everything's right here in the front of this motor. You can do everything. So I'm going to put just a little dribble or two in this one. See if we can't get him to loosen up a little bit. Well, that's running out of that one. Must be on top dead center. Let's see here. Now that one's a little harder to get to. Now I don't overdo it on the Marvel's Mystery Oil because it's just number one, it's going to blow out all over your floor if you do get it running, and plus it's a little goes a long way. Now I've seen some of these guys that if they had a 4-cylinder, it'd take 3 of these. They'd want one in each cylinder. They'd fill them all the way up to the top, and that may work. But you're just trying to get that initial layer around the top of the piston. That's what you're working for. Good God, funnel. So Yugo. A little bit of a funnel malfunction. So the mystery is you don't got to use too much of it. That's the mystery. I have never had an easier engine to pour Marvel's Mystery Oil in ever. All right, and that's number 4. All right. So let's get you back in here and take a look at her. You can kind of see right down here how easy those are to access. I think it's 1432 or 1423 or 3421 or 8675309. Whatever it is, that's the firing order. And so we've loaded all those up with a little bit of Marvel's Mystery Oil, and we're going to let that set overnight. Just see what it does. I mean, honestly, I have no idea if she's gonna come free or not. But the fact that I can wiggle it, that's a good sign. Where there's a wiggle, there's a way. There's your, of course, distributor cap. Right there's that fuel pump we were talking about, directly off those lines. And then we've got, of course, our copper home plumbing right here, because that's just the way we're going to do things. That's the way things were done. And then I think the return line is over here that comes off it. I'm not 100% sure where these went to originally, but it darn sure ain't where they are now. And it wasn't, so the crank could grind a big hole in the hose over there. So we'll just have to wait and see what that comes up. We may go ahead and flush our radiator while we're at it. It is bad. We showed you this when we did the initial walkthrough. It's bad. Let me get a better light put in there for you. It's bad. Lots of corrosion. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure there's any water in it. There's certainly no water. It's wet, but it's just not. I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. So we're going to definitely put some engine coolant in it, but we're gonna let it rinse out overnight. Maybe put some Marvel's Mystery Oil in it. That couldn't hurt anything, could it? Of course not. So y'all hang in, hang out, and hang on. We're gonna let her sit overnight. Come back out in the morning. Tomorrow is Saturday, July the 5th, and maybe we won't come out tomorrow. We'll probably come out on Sunday, July the 6th. My band is playing. We are the Whiskey Wranglers Band, if you're a Facebook person. We're playing tomorrow in Berthoud, Colorado, at the Derby Bar and Grill from 2 to 5. And then we go into Loveland, Colorado tomorrow night, play from 7 to 10 at Loveland Ale Works. You all welcome to come down and see us. Of course, this won't be out by then, so if you do come down, likely we will not be there at all. But you can follow us and find out where we're going to be around your hometown. We actually tour all over the United States, and come out and see us. Get a free t-shirt. Talk to you soon.
I got a little change in my pocket going jingle-lang-a-ring. Check call you on the telephone, baby. Keep you a ring. But each time I call, I get the same old thing. Don't hug me, don't kiss me. I feel like you're ready, friend. My baby, don't send my little home from jail. She said, don't ever know lies and keep your hands to yourself. Well, now, baby, why you gotta treat me this way? You know I'm still your lover, boy. I still feel the same way. When she told me a story, like free milk in the cow. Said no honey, don't you see her, turn like a wedding vow. My baby, don't send my lover on no shelf. She said don't have no lies and keep your hands to yourself. Clark played that thing one time. Well, you know, I wanted it real bad. I was about to get.
Hey, welcome back to Whiskey Gas Garage. I'm your host, Chad Scott, and I'm here with a big wrench. If you're going to have a tiny little car, you better have a big wrench to either turn the crank or finish it off when it doesn't actually turn. Hey, when we last left you, we had just poured Marvel Mystery Oil in the cylinders because she's locked up tighter in the drum, as we said, and that's 2 days ago. So you just saw a video of the band played yesterday there at the old Derby in Berthoud, Colorado, and it was a lot of fun. Keep your hands to yourself with a fiddle player. Everybody should do that. So what we're going to do today, gosh, what I would like to do today, I would like to see it running today. Now that's going to take a lot of effort, Herculean. So I'm not sure it's going to happen, but we're going to give it a try. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to put a crank on this thing, and remember we had a little wiggle. What's the old saying? Where there's a wiggle, there's a way. So we had a little wiggle in it when it was locked up. So we're going to put a crank on it, see if the Marvel Mystery Oil did its job, and give it a little of that, just to see if we can break it free. And then put some new plugs in it. We did get new plugs from O'Reilly's. You should be a sponsor. Anyway, we got some stuff from O'Reilly's, got new plugs, and we're just going to see what happens. Are we going to test spark and pull it? No, we're probably not going to do all that. Probably just going to see if it turns and then, put a jump box on this battery from 1992 and just see what happens. So let's get at it here. It's really nice. You can get to the crank from under here. Ah, let me see here. Oh, 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 oh. We have wiggle. Oh, we got a lot of wiggle. Oh, look at that. That is, I don't know if you can hear that. Okay. Okay. Ah, that must be the top of it. Compression stroke. We've got good news. She is no longer locked up. She went from locked up to Marvel's Mystery Oil. And again, only Derek Bieri at Vice Grip Garage knows what's in Marvel's Mystery Oil, and he ain't telling the rest of us. But we put a little Marvel's Mystery Oil down there, and guess what? She ain't locked up no more. She turned all the way around in a full 360-degree rotation, and now she's got compression, I guess. It spit a little mystery oil out on the engine there, and a little bit out on me, and a little bit out on my floor cover here. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's a good sign. That is a really good sign. We may have an engine here. Now, I can't promise that that there's going to be anything more than that. Yeah, it may not run, may not drive, may not start, but what I can tell you is that the engine is not locked up. Let me tell you what I suspect it was. I suspect that it was from ring ridge. It has literally been setting for 33 years, and the rings will just kind of get hung. They'll just get hung in those, and I don't have a borescope, so I can't tell you if there's any cross hatching or any of that kind of stuff. But what I can tell you is probably ring ridge, but it has now loosened up, and we got something to work on. So give us just a couple of minutes here, and we'll be back on the top side for you. Good news, right? It spun all the way around. We think we might even have compression. We might not, but it did spit Marvel Mist Oil all over the front of the motor. So probably some compression happening there. That's a good problem to have. Again, we probably think it was ring ridge, and she was once was lost, but now she's found. She was blind, but now she sees. I'm only doing that because it's Sunday. It's Sunday, July 6th. I like to date stamp these because I hate when people go out of order when they do these. So anyway, what we're going to do now, I told you I went to O'Reilly's. You should be a sponsor. I'm going to keep saying that until they actually call me and say, hey, we'd like to sponsor you, Chad. So anyway, I got some NGKs from the same 18-year-old at O'Reilly's who had no idea what a Yugo was. So, but we think these are the right plugs for it. So, we pull those O plugs out, and if you remember, get a shot of that. They were bad. They were just bad. They were running richer than Elon Musk carrying the bags of that Microsoft guy. Anyway, they were bad. The plugs were bad. They were eaten up. It was ugly. So what we'll do now is, being that we know she turns, and I have $14, we're going to put some new plugs in her just to see here. And the most important thing about plugs is getting the gap right. So I went through the interweb, looked on the gap, and I can't do that. I'm lying. I'm not looking at the gap at all. We're just going to assume that that gap is exactly right. So let's get her in here. On these, if you remember when we pull these out, they were finger tight, which was good and bad. They didn't fight me. God, sure, frickin' sure. Yeah. Remember, once you put it in cross-threaded, it's in for life. So take your time, put it in right. So these were only finger tight, which is, at least there was no rust. There was oil in the engine, and then we don't need those. Get these in here. It's really nice, convenient having these right in the front of the motor. So I'm going to put these in finger tight first, and then I'm going to snug them in with a wrench. Oh, and apparently you have to take the little cardboard off the thing before you put them in. Is that cardboard? What did I do? I know that looks right. All right. I thought I left the little cardboard on the cylinder there. Let's see here. See the little cardboard? Whoop, got to get rid of that. You know, I've rebuilt a lot of motors in my time. Everything from 7.3 diesels to 6.9 IDIs to 350 small blocks. Uh, I've never had an engine where everything's right here in the front. I mean, it is the super simplest thing I think I've ever seen. So let's get this last plug in here. Ah, come on, don't cross thread. Remember, cross thread is the Loctite that you don't want. All right, I'll get that one in there. Let's get them cranked in here with the old spark plug wrench. All right. You know, some of you car makers, Toyota, Nissan, Honda, Kia, Daewoo, Daihatsu, I don't even know. Some of the, you should take a lesson from Yugo. Put all your stuff right here in the front so us shade tree mechanics can get to it. We get that one snugged up. Okay. Two more. So as you know, this Yugo motor, it's just a repurposed Fiat. So it's a repurposed Fiat 1.1. When it came out in 1986, so when the Yugo came out in 86, or came to America, I should say, why is that not going in? Came to America in 1986. The motor was already 25 years old. Fiat had been making this motor in the Fiat Fuego and really a ton of stuff. Something similar to it was in the Baritone and the XR4TI and some other stuff that the Italians made. So it's been around a while, which, though Yugos are horribly unreliable, it's not always the motor that goes bad. It's like body panels fall off, or what happened in the case in the Mackinac Bridge in Michigan, it blew off the bridge. The car driving across a bridge blew off the bridge. Now, my understanding that wasn't a motor problem. That was a Yugo problem. And at that point, the Department of Transportation said, yeah, we're not bringing Yugos to America ever again, ever. And on the safety rating for Yugos in, I think it was in '89, it said not applicable. They would not even safety rate the Yugo. So yes, some things were going on here. So let's see here. Here's our old plugs, and there go our old plugs because we didn't need them to start with. Okay, they're the old plugs. So let's the old firing order here looks like it's 1, 3, 4, 2. 1, 3, 4, 2. It's always good to put these on in the right firing order. It just everything seems to work better when it's in the right firing order. One. Let's just assume it's always been on. Let's just assume whoever did it before us did it right. 1, 3. Oh, what the heck? Oh, that's out of the old. It's out of my old ranch here. My old. You got to stick him back in there from time to time. 1, 3, 4. All right. All right. All right. So we've got plugs in it. We know that there's at least some rotational thing happening. It will go all the way around. It's got plugs in it. Gosh, this is scary. I have no idea what's going to happen next. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and take these fuel lines off because I remember when we were under there in the crank and some genius, and I'm just going to go with unnamed source, had put the fuel line and the return line all in rubber hoses all the way to the back to the gas tank and had run it by the crank, and then the crank had gone and cut a big hole in the fuel line. Yeah, let's avoid that. Let's avoid it pulling fuel because we think that whatever it had when we tipped it up and down was spilling out. It was ugly. It was unpleasant. So let's get a screwdriver here and take off the fuel line to the carburetor and the return line. And let's see here, because this was not my doing, but that's home copper plumbing, So I may take this. I've got a little sink repair I got to do in the bathroom, so I'll be able to use that. So we never let anything go to waste here at Whiskey Gas Garage. Okay, okay, all right. So that's not coming off that copper, so it's all right. We got a tool for that. We got a tool for that. So let's see here. Let's pull this out and we'll do this. That's not the one. Think about a multi-tools. There's so many darn tools. So yeah, we're going to use our other wrench here. There we go. That wrench works so much better than this wrench did. So let's see here. We've got our fuel line off. I think that either feeds the carburetor or it does the opposite thing. It returns gas. Who would have thought that a $3,990 cart even would bother to put a return in? All right, and then here's that one. And we're going to use the same technology here. I think I could have just broken these lines in half with my hands. They are brittle. So let's look down in here and see what we've got. It's something. So return line, maybe fuel line, fuel pumps right there. And our distributor cap. So we're just going to assume that our distributor is perfect because it only has 44,000 miles and it only sat for 33 years. So probably nothing wrong with that. Coil we know is going to fire up. Let's see. Let's go over here. Let's put a little love on it. Need some love on this thing. I know you've been watching all these YouTubers. These guys are great. I love Pole Barn Garage, one of my favorites. Dalton makes me crazy, but I like him. I love Kevin at Junkyard Digs. They got these fancy jump boxes, and we'll set our fancy jump box. Someday I'll have a fancy jump box. I promise you. I'm just not that far along in my career yet. Let me see here. I got to plug that in at some point. Let's see here. Black goes to negative. Red goes to positive. See, you're going to learn some things today. Black goes to negative. Red goes to positive. If I haven't taught you anything today, I've taught you that. And now we get up. That battery again, 1992. It's got the little stickers, the little holes. You got to weld them out. 1992. Let me see here. Let me get some a little bit of power. Now, if you're wondering what I'm unpowering here, as you know, I collect snow water all winter long to water my garden, and had to water my garden this morning. The Whiskey Gas Garden's looking pretty good. Maybe after it all comes in, we'll give away some squash and zucchini. Yeah, we won't do that. All right, let's see here. Let's jam her in here. All right, let's see here. That ain't right. All right, there we go. 12.2 volts is what we want on it. 12.5 volts. Okay, we're going to make some volts. So 200 amps, kind of a starter. Guys, this is a big moment. This is a big moment. We've got, we drove a long way. Holden and I drove 2,500 miles in 36 hours. We got her pushed up into the garage with a lawnmower. And then here we are. We got her to turn centrifugally, whatever that means. It went all the way around and it spit out Marble Mystery Oil. We put some new plugs in her. We completely ignored the ignition system altogether. Didn't even look at maybe it's got an electronic ignition. Maybe it's got points. I didn't see a ballast resistor, or maybe I did. I don't know what I'm looking for. You saw the disclaimer. I'm not a car guy. I'm a doctor. I'm a drummer in a country band. I'm a professional wrestler. That's true. I'm a sometimes televangelist. Never give in to that sin and temptation. Keep striving for that perfect feeling over a distant horizon. I've got some skills. they don't always translate to car guy. So we've got some stuff to do here, but we're at a point where we're going to tap the O key and just see what happens. Now, is there a chance that the flywheel is going to break and snap off in the transmission and blow up the entire? Yeah, there's completely that could happen. We know it's got oil in it. I did put some water in this. It's not going to start. God, please don't start, um, because there's no fuel. And but we did spray around on it and clean up the carburetor a little bit. So hopefully there's no residual left in there. But it's a big moment. Here we go. Let's get the keys. Have the original Yugo keys. Can you lock in on that to see? It actually says Yugo on it. I know Holden is my super qualified camera guy can see. Okay, maybe not. And we of course we have the Michigan State Police tag because I'm sure at one point easily could have been a Michigan State Police vehicle that would be chasing down bicycles. Maybe I don't know. All right, I got to quit talking. We got to do this. Here we go. Oh, we have dash lights. We have the little battery light, the brake light, and the oil light. Here we go. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? That's a thing. That's a thing. Hold on. That's what I wanted. I'm not doing any more than that because I'm already scared to death of it. Um, so she went, and then I said, "Did you hear that?" Maybe you weren't here for that part. And then I went, again. Pretty exciting stuff. Okay. Now I don't know what to do with myself. We might need to share a shot of whiskey, me and Miss Jenny here, my Yugo. That just happened. I don't know if you saw it or not, but that just happened. Uh, wow. Okay. Now what do you do? Oh my gosh. It did something. It's got lights on the inside and it just went twice. Again, you were there. All right, let me think. I got to think. I got to process. So I'll be right back with you guys after I get done processing. Wow. Okay. Thank you for giving me that moment. I'm not gonna lie to you. I took a shot. Jack Daniel's Sinatra Select, which is the whiskey we paired with this baby girl right here. Had to think it through. What do you do next? So it's time to go to the big fridge. Big fridge, as you well know, is where we keep our stuff. Oh, we got stuff too. We got stuff. We've got everything from marbles to carbon choke cleaner to now. I'm a fan of the old True Fuel, and you know I don't mind spraying carbon choke cleaner, brake parts cleaner down a carburetor. It's probably not going to hurt it, but this does have a little bit of two-cycle oil in it, and we already know we've had some ring ridge issues, or it's what we believe some ring ridge issues. So we're gonna pour a little bit of this down in that carburetor. We're not gonna hook up a temporary fuel system yet, but we're gonna pour this down in and see if she barks off. So we took a locked up engine, we brought it in, we got it to rotate all around with the super secret Marvel mystery oil. We put some new plugs in her, and now she does starty things. G, G. Again, we have no idea about the ignition system, and so here's my theory on that. I'm not gonna check. I'm just gonna pour this in it, and if it starts, then the ignition system's fine. Although I did buy one of those fancy little inline sparky pluggy thingies, so you can have a flashy lighty thingy. We'll see if it works. I don't know if it will or not. So we'll do that when we get to the point where we're actually trying to start it. So let's see if she's a runner. We know now that she's not locked up. So let's see if she'll run. Let's see here. Ready to use. Of course it's ready to use. Ready to use. Let's see here. That's actually what I put in my chainsaw. All right, there's that. We'll lose that. Put that up here on my airbag. I love that the spare tire's under the hood. So let's see here. That's clearly a Quadrajet Edelbrock. No. No, it is a little tiny two jet something. I don't even sure what it is. Zostifa put it in, so I'm sure it's Fiat-ish. Ooh, oh. Yeah, don't do that. Okay, here we go. Let's see here. A little bit of, try to get a little bit down in that. That's a lot. That's a lot. So there could be flames that shoot up out of this. So, all right, we put True Fuel in it. Again, it's just a, there's no ethanol in True Fuel, and they put a little two-cycle oil, and so here we go. Let's just do this and see what happens. So Holden's going to keep an eye on the engine here, see if it fires up, and we're just going to do this. Here we go. Give it a couple of pumps. Okay, that was a little anticlimactic. What? Ho, ho, ho. Boys, I'm telling you what, she was close to being a runner there. Let's give her one more shot, only because it's a Yugo. What? Ah! 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 Well. Boys and girls, she's a runner. She is going to run. We threw a little True Fuel down in the old carburetor there, and after a while, she's a runner. For the first time since 1992, this motor has come to life. Now, will she drive? Oh God, probably not. Will she stop? Absolutely not. That will never happen. But what we know right now is we've got a running engine. Will it go into gear? I don't know. We're scared to death to push the clutch in. Uh, is there an emergency brake? We know that that's a no. But she's a runner, guys. She's a runner. Who would have thought, right? We got a long way to go, but at least we know that she's not locked up anymore. She's a runner. Let's take a look at that oil real quick. How does Vice Grip Garage do that? That tastes awful. I thought I'd look really cool. Like, that is not cool. But to be fair, there's a lot of gas in it. What we poured in here is either made its way to the oil or something's going on there. But there's still oil in it. I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear any valve clackies. The speedometer said we were going 50 miles an hour. A little concerning considering we were sitting still. But other than that, it seems to be a thing. All right, I guess our next step, should we choose to accept it, is to set up a temporary fuel system. We'll put a little gas can, we'll throw some gas in it, or we'll just run a little hose down into the True Fuel and see if the gas pump works. I'm not, that seemed, maybe that's the way of wisdom. So give us a second here. We'll get you all set up for the next part. Woo! Rock on! Jam hands! Okay, no, too much. Sorry, over the top. You heard it, right? You were there. It did the thing. Okay? It did a thing, and it was awesome, and there we are. So, lessons learned. Let's start there. Whenever you start a car for the first time, or you hit the little thingy, and you do the thingy with the okay, probably best to open one of your garage doors because it got super smoky in here, and Holden and I got higher than Willie Nelson and Snoop Dogg for a few minutes. So we had to go kind of walk it off. So after that, we came back and we've hooked up this. This is a professional system here. So we think this might be what draws the fuel in to the old carburetor, and we think this might be what the return is. maybe, maybe not. And then because we made fun of all our home plumbing, we went right back to our home plumbing and uh, and did that thing. And then we poured some gas and a little bit of True Fuel in our Gold's Peak sweet tea container because that's certified, certified. And then because we didn't want it to fall over, of course we zip tied it because every project requires zip ties. We zip tied it to the prop rod of the engine. There's absolutely no way that anything could possibly go wrong with this other than perhaps like this falls over and pours into here and then it catches fire and which reminds me while I'm thinking about it, Michael Rowe, your safety first. There's every chance in the world that we're going to need this, and it is going to be close by when we do. So, Baka equipment. I used to own a chain of ice cream stores to go along with all the other things I've done in Ohio. And Baka equipment is who provided it. When I sold the stores, I took all of them. So, anyway, is it charged from 10 years ago? Who knows? It says it's in the green. I believe green. Green's good. Green, red. Here we go. Baka. So, gosh, I'm really just delaying the inevitable. Let's pour a little more True Fuel down it. See if it's going to pull fuel at all, if the fuel pump is working at all, it's going to need a little help. So let's put a little bit of this down in her. If you hear a little white noise in the background, it is because we actually, well, that's a lot of fuel. It's because we actually have a fan running so we don't die. In case something goes right, which we're not optimistic. I don't know if the fuel pump works or not, but I do know the car runs. So let's try this. Let's get in. I'm going to hit the key. Holden's going to keep an eye here. And if you suddenly see the camera drop, or Holden's hair catches on fire, or he grabs that, we'll at least keep the audio going so you can hear the mayhem, even if you don't get to see it. So, okay, here we go. Got some battery going. Got that going. We know it's got spark because it did sparky things. That looks certified. All right, here we go. All right. In neutral. Oh, it might be a little flooded. Let me give her some love. Okay, now that may have been just the fuel in the bowl, which tells us that maybe we're not pulling fuel. Let's try it again. Okay, we're doing something. All right, let's try some more True Fuel. Let's put a little bit more fuel in the bowl just in case. Oh, that's not good.
Right here.
Oh, oh, oh. We were spitting. Fuel pump's working. So clearly, the fuel pump was spitting fuel up, which would have been great if somebody said, "Hey, Dad, it looks like it's spitting stuff up so it doesn't catch on fire and we're not Chicago in the 20s." Thank you, Holden, for that. Ah, my goodness, there's gas everywhere. All right. Oh God, I'm an idiot. I am an idiot. So look what I've done here, folks. Let's take stock of what we're doing here. So I have going from here to the carburetor where it gets gas. I'm going from here to the return from the carburetor, and I completely bypassed the pump altogether. So not only was it pumping fuel, this nasty varnish, out of the tank, I have a closed system here that I forgot to include the pump. So that's the kind of expertise you're dealing with here. That disclaimer at the beginning that says, I don't know much about cars, not a joke. Clearly, I've screwed this up. So we're going to have to take a small pause for the calls here. And I'm going to have to actually bring the pump in line to this system. So y'all hang in, hang out, hang on. We'll be right back. Okay. I can admit when I'm wrong. Uh, Holden didn't tell me that I had that hooked up wrong. That's how much I can admit that I was wrong. It was bad, wasn't it, Holden?
It was indeed.
It was bad. We shot a lot of fuel all over the place, but it told us a couple of things. One, that whatever's in our gas tank is liquid death, and two, at least it does. The fuel pump is working. But I noticed when I crawled under it to do some other connections and disconnections, the weep valve is open and it's leaking. So we're definitely going to have a new fuel pump regardless of what happens now. So I've got it going through the fuel pump, and I've got something to catch all the junk underneath it here when the fuel does leak all over the place. And now I think we've got it hooked up right-ish, where maybe it'll run for more than just the fuel we put in the bowl, and maybe it'll pull fuel. So let's go back a little more True Fuel. I'm going to have $75,000 worth of True Fuel in this thing. A little bit there, and we'll just see what happens. We're going to see how this goes. So I'm going to hit the key one more time here. Holden's going to keep an eye as my fires. Oh, these were inspected in 2018. We're fine. We're fine. That's just like a week ago. So Holden's going to keep an eye on things here as my fire watch. I got to set the fire watch, tag out the thing, and set dog Zoo Blue. Some of you Navy and Coast Guard guys will get that. And we're just going to hit the key and see what happens. All right, here we go. Holden, just for the record, if it starts squirting fuel, tell me something. Okay, thank you. All right, here we go. Contact. I pumped it 3 times just because that's my lucky number. Here we go. Oh, we've got noises. Oh, that could have just been the True Fuel. Hold on. She's not going to idle. So I'm just going to sit here and hold my foot in it and see if it keeps running. If it keeps running, then that's good. And if it doesn't, that's bad. Oh. Listen at that. She sounds great. I don't hear any valve train rattle, no lower engine rattle, no nothing. And she's definitely pulling fuel on her own. Hey, hold it under the car to see if anything's leaking. Yeah. I think that's leaking out of the weep valve on the fuel pump. All right, I'm going to shut her down. Ha! Woo! Boys and girls, I don't know how you feel when you felt like you've done something good. That's what it feels like to me. I feels like there's a shot of whiskey for me in the future and one for old Jenny here. So let's recap here. We started off a week ago today, in fact. A week ago today, Sunday, I was presuming going through the old interweb there, and I said, let's do a nationwide search for a Yugo on the old Facebook face-space marketplace, and found one. Called the guy up, had his phone number on there. His name was Gary, who is in his 80s. He is the two-step polka king of Finland, Minnesota, who worked on the Edmund Fitzgerald and made wine, which we drank last night. And so we called him up. Holden and I drove 2,400 miles round trip in 36 hours, loaded this thing up on the buggy, got it back to the Whiskey Gas Garage, took a lawnmower and pushed it into the Whiskey Gas Garage, and then found out she was locked up tighter than Fort Knox. They wouldn't nobody getting gold out of this thing. So we baked a little Marvel's mystery oil down in the cylinders. We threw some new plugs in her. We put a big wrench on the crank. We got her to crank over, probably some ring ridge, and then we poured a little True Fuel in her. Did we check the ignition at all? No. We did put new plugs in it. Totally counts. We completely rebuilt the ignition system, and then after rebuilding the ignition system, we just hit the key, because that's the way we do things here. That's the way of wisdom. We hit the key, and it did root things, and then we poured some fuel in it with our fancy fuel system we set up, and it did things, and then it did things, which Holden now knows is bad. Right, Holden?
I do indeed.
Okay, bad. So it was shooting fuel up, and while Holden was trying to collect his inheritance early, we cut it off, got out here, and then reworked our zip tie Gold Peak True Fuel system. And then we poured a little more True Fuel in it, started it up, and it runs like a sewing machine, like a Yugoslavian combine tractor sewing machine hybrid Fiat. It ran. Now, one idle. Let's not get crazy. This was not the will it run an idle video. This is will it run? And the answer to that question is, yeah, Will. Who thought it wouldn't? It's a Yugo. It's quite possibly the greatest car ever built. Hand built, same as the Lamborghinis. Yeah. So it does run, which I can't tell you how excited I am. I don't know if you can see it in my eyes or not, but this is it actually does run. So we have a running Yugo. Will it drive? Probably not. Definitely won't idle. Will it stop? Oh God, no. Let's not get crazy. But it's a runner. So I guess our next steps, we're going to start breaking this thing down a little bit, trying to figure out if it's got any gears while we got it up on blocks. I'm not ready to do that now because I haven't done anything with the clutch. It's just an old mechanical clutch, nothing too fancy there, but we're going to do a lot of work on it before we push it in for the first time. So guys, thank you so much. This is our first episode. And as I warned you at the beginning, I'm old. I'm super old, and this is the first time I've ever edited a video in my whole life. So if it's a little sketchy, it's a little sketchy. Hey, put some comments down there because that's what people do. And then, as I told you early on, we're building this for Power Tour 26. So really, this is a next June car. We're a year out. I honestly didn't expect to get the engine started till Christmas. So we may be a little ahead of schedule so far. But after Power Tour next June, we are going to give this car away to one of the people on our fans page for either our YouTube or one of our other profiles. We're going to be giving this car away. So if you'd like a chance to own your own Yugo, we're going to make that happen. And we're not only going to give it away, we're going to deliver it wherever it is. You win in California, we're driving to California. You win in Maine, we're going to Maine. You win in Alaska, we're meeting you in California. Anyway, the point is, we're going to give this car away once we get it up and running. Big plans for this car: trailer hitch, paint, air conditioning. No, just a cooler with some ice in it. Or you can actually pour it right in here, and it'll blow cold air through the. That's true. Is it good for your car? No. Are we going to do it on Power Tour? Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. You all hang in, hang out, hang on. We'll see you next time on Whiskey Gas Garage.
Well, if your ride's broke down and looking sad, got a clump